Hello everyone, Burb here. Let's close out the Leo Cup by talking about frontrunners. This is the fourth of 4 role-based guides. The other 3 for the other 3 roles are available on the channel if you wish, but today we are talking about skills, cards, and characters for the frontrunner position. So let's just jump right in. Are frontrunners good? They're fine, they're just not dominating, and that's the problem for a lot of people. When frontrunners are still the hardest role to build at the moment, with the most amount of skills required to get to the level that is required for Champions Meeting, for a lot of people, when it doesn't give you a near guaranteed chance of winning a finals, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. And when pace chasers and late surgers are there, the fact of the matter is that yes, you have to vie for position and you have to gamble your accelerations, but you usually are able to build enough of them that at least one of your Umas are going to hit in that rolls, and those are relatively easy to build, whereas you need to put a ton of effort on frontrunners. But there are still a few reasons that you can still run frontrunners that are completely viable. First of all, if you have a frontrunner Oshi, of course, Oshi reasons, run whatever role that you enjoy running. But more tactically, the biggest two things are, one, it stops lucky pace. So a pace chaser, if it is able to hit head on at a good timing or neck and neck at a good timing, and they are in the lucky pace position or first place, it is almost impossible to catch up to them. The second thing that it is that because you're taking first place position, you basically facilitate your own pace chasers and late surgers because that first place position is taken care of. You can now hit Taiki ult and Nishino Flower ult a lot easier, and you can also go and hit stuff like Triumph and Pulse at the 200 meter mark as long as your frontrunner hits any basically form of acceleration to survive at that point. Frontrunners can be facilitators and they can still win on their own. Do note that despite their lower win rate in room matches at the current moment, first of all, they still can win, and second of all, remember that actual Champions Meeting is not really indicative of the room match meta because only like the top 2% of players actually run room matches at all. There will be imperfect Umas, and frontrunners really thrive in those imperfect lobbies because if you just put more mid-race and more late race and have more skills than your opponents, as a frontrunner, a length is a length is a length, which means that you will be able to go and close the gap in those situations. The only other problem that the frontrunners have is that runaways kind of basically kill off the roll a little bit, but we will talk about that later. They are generally rather rare, as we are finding. We'll talk about a little bit of that. There's also very few characters that I can basically ethically say you should run in the frontrunner position because a lot of them can be run in the pace chaser position, and it's a lot easier to run in that pace chaser position. So a lot of caveats here. I'm still going to tell you how to build them. I still think they are viable and can win quite frequently, especially in the actual Champions Meeting environment and not just in the room match testing. Okay, for stat requirements. It hasn't really changed from the other roles. The only two additions are you might want an additional 100 stam to lower the gambling a little bit on the stamina for spot struggle. If spot struggle ever happens, if there's multiple frontrunners in the lobby, it is 100 extra stam. You do need 400. You should be getting 400 in general, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. There's also an argument for more wit because it is just simply translating into mid-race overtake modes and mid-race pace-up modes, which should help you out, especially in that early mid-race with all the other characters breaking PDM and stuff after you PDM them the first time, most likely, okay? For the Guts build, I don't really suggest the Guts build personally. I don't find it necessary. You shouldn't be sacrificing your power because power is incredibly important for that late race uphill, especially as a frontrunner who already struggles in the late race. And then also the wit, you really can't lose too much either because you need that in order to maintain your mid-race advantage. So if you're going the Guts build, just make sure you still are hitting your power and your wit while doing it because Guts is still just a bonus stats. The late race speed that it's given from it is much less than you can just from boosting speed and your power with that late race uphill. For primary excels, you still need to get angling and scheming. Yes, a runaway will take away first place, but you cannot be making contingency plans for situations where you are losing. You need to be building for when you have a lobby that is winnable. And angling and scheming is your primary method of victory. It is basically 0.2, and 0.2 acceleration is a good starting point. But that's the problem with frontrunners right now, is that it is just simply a starting point. The pace chasers, late surgers, and even some end closers are hitting 0.6 in the situations where they're winning. Because there's so many of them, one of them will hit that 0.6, and if you only hit 0.2, your mid-race advantage is simply not enough to head them off, especially with their greater late race speed. So you need some method of hitting more than 0.2. The best method of that is unrestrained or final push. You want possibly the best choice is unrestrained and getting the Suzuka card, because this basically hits about 1 every 2 times. It's basically every other time you will hit an unrestrained that has value. You'll hit an unrestrained that has great value, basically 1 out of every 4 times. So you're getting some value out of it. You're getting some value out of it half the time, and you're getting a value out of it that you can probably win with it about 1 out of every 4 times. And for front runners, with those current win rate that they're at, 25% of the chance is actually quite good. Otherwise, if you don't have access to the Suzuka card for whatever reason, whether or not your Bauer slot is available, there is a couple of other options you can have. First of all, you can do final push plus another 0.2. That's fine. It's a little bit more risky. Or you can go for a different option like Turbo Sprint. Note that Turbo Sprint is really like close to a 1 in 6 or a 1 in 5 rather than the 1 in 2 to 1 in 4, because if it procs at all late, you're just not getting enough lengths from it as a front runner to basically head off the pace chaser. Basically, you need to proc this before you would proc head on or on your left on a different roll. Otherwise, second wind is kind of the same thing. It is about 2/3 the value of Turbo Sprint, but it is only a white skill, so it is rather good value and is pretty good as a supplementary or tertiary acceleration. Ignited Spirit Power is kind of just there because the scenario gives it to you. It is probably the worst out of all the options that we have here due to its potency being lower than the rest of them, but Corner Connoisseur is your final one, and this is just there for pretty much free-to-plays that have the event Yukino Vision card. I personally don't suggest it. I think that you should be going for Unrestrained or even Turbo Sprint, but Corner Connoisseur is technically like a 1 out of 7 or 1 out of 6, which is much less than that 1 out of 2. It's much less than that 1 out of 5. So it's the worst out of all the options. The only advantage this has is that it can go and proc in second place. So if a runaway is there, technically you can still hit Corner Connoisseur. But again, you should be building for the lobbies that are actually winnable to begin with. Otherwise, your early race as a frontrunner has not changed. You have taken the lead, you have groundwork plus 3 greens, and you have prudent positioning and dodging danger in a Ignited Spirit Wit. Remember, the combination is dodging danger and at least one prudent positioning or Ignited Spirit Wit. With Ignited Spirit Wit being given by the scenario, usually you can go and grab all 3 of these and it will be really, really good. You want multiple of these for the Wit checks so that if one fails, you're not screwed by dodging danger, procking, and not having any way to come back around. As a reminder for groundwork, your greens are right-handed summer runner, sunny days, firm conditions, standard distance, and Nakayama racecourse. This is the Nakayama 1200 meter sprint track after all. For mid-race velocity skills, you do still have the most out of anyone. And with the addition of Marzensky Summer, you have a summer speed card. You have a very good option on a very good speed card in Top Runner. Top Runner makes it very difficult to dislodge you, as people are saying, because if anyone is basically approaching you, whether it be a pace chaser or a front runner, it will trigger this. This is the gold version of Leader's Pride, and it will basically head off the pass and make the pass attempt fail. Escape Artist is a Agima-sen for Daitaku Helios Power as well. It is very good. It's on a lot of the good characters anyways. Your corner skills are guaranteed mid-race. Duty of Dignity Calls procs at a good enough timing that you can go and push forward. Operation Cacao as well is a mid-race velocity skill. It is just a 0.15 as well. And in High Spirits, if you wish, on the Bakushin card, has a higher chance of speed carryover on that final corner. It's technically second half of mid-race. Apologies. Professor of Curvature is a corner skill, and it works as well on the Kidison Black. And we're still going and talking about more mid-race. Burning Spirit Speed is given by the scenario, but is less effective because of its shorter duration. It's on is given by the scenario and probably should be taken. Although if you're solo fronting, yeah, probably should still be taken. This skill is still rather powerful. Nothing Ventured can proc anywhere after the 50% mark. It is a gamble. Beeline Burst is late race. Sorry about that. Playtime's over. Slipstream, tail held high. Nothing really has changed for the front runner position except for the addition of Top Runner and of course in High Spirits for the sprints. For late race velocity, in body and mind, or home stretch haste, racing spirit stamina from URA, front runner straight, sprint straights, and firm course menace all can be considered late race. The actual speed and power will give you late race over the course of being at top speed. In body and mind now has better timing with the 7-1 patch, which is really good. Racing spirit stamina does burn a little bit of stamina. It's about 75, but it just has very high potency for a late race skill. As you can see here, it basically is a gold skill like in body and mind. It just slightly less and can brick, because if it procs in the second half of that final spurt, it's going to get clipped by the end of the race. Otherwise, your straight skills are considered late race as well. For cards, the big one's probably going to be Marzensky Summer Speed. Top runner in is what you want. That's the good mid-race skill, but also you have hints for a lot on pretty much every single thing that you want on a front runner. You have groundwork as a hint, summer runner, playtime's over, front runner straights, front runner corners, and early lead. This card's rather insane. If you did get a 1LB copy plus, you can use it as a utility card. The other big one people are probably going to borrow are Silence Suzuka Speed, which gives you unrestrained, and a bunch of hints for various front runner skills like straights, corners, early lead, front runner savvy, and fast pace. Kidus in Black is for Professor Curvature as per usual. Turbo Sprint on the Bakushin card. These are now secondary speed cards, and you just, at that point, you just run the best speed card that you have available to you. For SR speed cards, I still personally like Sweep Tosho for the SP bonus, Slipstream and Lone Wolf in the actual chain events, but Slipstream as a hint. And remember that she does actually give you a hint for prudent positioning as well. Otherwise, Current Chan Speed gives you sprint corners and sprint straights, and then you just use your best speed card at that point available to you. For power cards, you do have the Muteki card that just gives you a ton of hints and basically just gives you SP efficiency to help you out with grabbing more skills in general. You kill the chain for playtime's over, most likely, and then grab hints, whatever hints that Yaina Muteki gives you for ramp up, home stretch haste, or tail held high. Groundwork can be found on the Smart Falcon power card, and of course she gives you center stage and prudent positioning, focus, groundwork, front row straight, a lot of front runner stuff. Daitaku Helios can be used for high rolling if you own the card. For the Agame-sen on Escape, Artist also has a hint for Slipstream. Otherwise, for free-to-play power cards, you do have the Marvy power card, which is for ramp up and tail held high on hints. The Mahono Bourbon power card, if you are not running the Mahono Bourbon Wit card, does give you a few hints and gives you front runner corners, I believe, so corner straights and early lead. Otherwise, the Bakushin card has a ton of sprint hints as well. Bakushin power. For Guts, the one that you would probably want to borrow if you want a Guts card is Sakura Bakushino Guts, that gives you groundwork on chain and Nagima-sen for in high spirits or light as a feather. Sprinting gear, sprint straights, and sprint corners on hints as well. I personally just think you can run any Bakushin card, and it gives you most of the sprint skills as well, because front runners do need a lot of different things to have as well. Otherwise, I will mention Ines Fusion this time. She does give playtimes over, fast pace, and slipstream on hints itself. Otherwise, the corner connoisseur is available on Yukino Bijin Guts. Otherwise, you're probably running your best Guts cards at that point. If you're running a Guts build, I personally do not suggest Guts builds. For Wit cards, the big one for runners is for taking the lead on Mahono Bourbon. This is basically a utility card with rather lackluster Wit output, so you probably want to pair it with some other best stat stick Wit card that you can. That's probably some combination of either Fine Motion, Mr. CB, or Nice Nature Wit, although Current Chan Wit does give a couple of sprint skills, and Nakayama Festa does give Nothing Ventured. For SR Wit cards, first of all, if you don't have Mahono Bourbon, I personally do not think you should borrow it. I think you should just cope with early lead or just play pace chasers at that point. It's kind of your option, but you can just cope with early lead and then just go and grab a better borrow. But the best Wit card at the moment is still Machikane Fujikitaru Wit, which gives you guaranteed right-handed, which is a green towards it is a green that is towards your groundwork count, and also has very, very good Wit output as well as scenario link. Otherwise, Marvy does give ramp up or tail held high on hints, slipstream on Sweep Tosho, Ines Fusion Wit gives you slipstream or playtimes over, and the rest are just kind of there to fill out your deck with as many Wit cards as you find necessary. In the other category, of course, prudent positioning is also given by Throne. If you wish to run the Throne card, there is a lot of SP, speed, and wit that this card gives you. I find this card is still ridiculously powerful at the moment. And you can still run Tazna for concentration. If you own this card, this may be the one last time where you can run the card. It is rather good for stabilizing your runs just due to the number of mood ups that she actually has. And remember, she gives you a ton of energy. But concentration is given, and Tail Held High is given on that first year event as well. So that should help you out with a few extra skills if you are missing them. Gonna grab a drink. For an example build, let's just run a bourbon. There isn't really a quote-unquote free-to-play frontrunner build at the moment, so it'll be kind of a hybrid build here, but Mahona Bourbon's known for having like everything in kit. So you have Escape Artist, Groundwork, Final Push, Frontrunner Savvy. This is Unrestrained White. You just take all these in the kit at this point. Run Kittison for Professor of Curvature, Straightaway Adept, and you just pray that she gives you Dodging Danger. Summer Marzensky gives you Top Runner, and we'll say that we get like Summer Runner, let's say, just a single hint from her, but you could get any of the hints and that would fill out this little slot. At this point, we would normally run the Mahona Bourbon Wit card, but of course we are running Bourbon, but if you're running any other frontrunner, you probably are running the Mahona Bourbon Wit in one of these slots, but instead we're going to fill up the rest of our deck basically with a bunch of Wit slots. We're going to get Right-Handed from Fuku Wit. We're going to try to get Ramp Up or Tail Held High from one of the two other Wit cards like Marvy Wit or Mr. CB Wit, and then from there we kind of just borrow whatever we need. If we want more power, we borrow a power card. If we want more guts, we borrow Sakuraba Kashino Guts. If we need more speed and we need more late race, we get Firm Force Menace from NTR, or we borrow Throne if we need some hybrid of the three and gives us prudent positioning. It's kind of the world is your oyster situation at this point, but probably a 2-speed 3-wit deck with a flex card, and you kind of fill out your sparks at that point. Probably a lot of power sparks are needed, otherwise you're dropping a wit card for a power card and then kind of gambling on getting enough wit. So that's really the example build. Let's talk about runaways for a second. First of all, a runaway will basically, a good runaway will kill all the front runners. If there is they're really relatively easy to build. You just kind of don't care about your speed too much. You just try to get power, a ton of wit, and you just grab every mid-race skill in the game, and as long as you survive, which you will, you just steal angling and scheming and it kills it. The thing is that runaways are incredibly rare because it's relatively difficult to win with them. They can still win, but the runaway speed coefficient at the end is just a little bit too much still at the moment on the sprint track, because skills are basically shortened too much that your base speed actually matters quite a bit. I guess that's the way to explain it. So because the track is so short, you can't necessarily rely on a bunch of late race skills to prop ahead your runaway. So runaways rarely win themselves, and people aren't really running runaways that much because pace chasers and late surgers seem to be the problem and not necessarily front runners in general. So you shouldn't really build yourself around fighting against a runaway. Also, if you want Silent Suzuka to win, you probably just run her stock front runner. She has Unrestrained in kit and is rather powerful. But do note that if a runaway is in lobby, it most likely will kill all your frontrunners. The other thing I want to talk about is how many frontrunners you want to build. I personally think you should build a solo front, and this may sound weird, but with the changes to pace up, solo front is still tough, but you still can win with it. And I think you're going to find much more success with a couple of gambles just to actually, how do I put it? Arbitrage the situation and make it so that you do have multiple methods of winning. You could run 2. I would certainly not run 3 in my opinion. Technically, in room matches, it does increase your frontrunner's win rate, but I find that you can gamble on someone else running a frontrunner because just the first frontrunner that you run, whether it's a runaway or a frontrunner, stops most of the shenanigans occurring, which is kind of the primary reason to run them. You stop lucky pace, you facilitate your pace chasers and late surgers, and you still have the added benefit of being kind of okay in the solo front lobby situation. And if there's another person that also is running a solo front, then you have a decent chance of winning because you're now fighting with each other. Remember, you do get pace ups when a pace chaser is at all close to you. And right now, with the amount of stuff that they have at the early race, like Shrewd Step and Straight Descent and the Groundwork themselves, a lot of times they'll pace up you in the early race anyways. So I don't find it necessary to run multiple front runners unless you just like the role and you really want to run a ton of front runners. honestly, it doesn't matter too much. I just think that that is the most effective method, is just run a solo front. So let's talk about the characters. The best character, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I did test it as well, and it's kind of true, is OG Mayana Top Gun for a very funny reason, and it's that solo front thing that I was talking about. Flashy landing his acceleration when you are being challenged and pressured on the final corner or later. The block side continue time, if a pace chaser gets close to you and starts triggering that, sometimes what happens, and remember that front runners don't have the greatest win rate anyways, sometimes it just triggers flashy landing and you just hit 0.8 and then you just win. It's weird. Very difficult character to build. Do not suggest. Literally 0 speed, power, and wit, but it's really funny watching a pace chaser just go next to you and then watching flashy landing hit when it decides to hit, of course, and then you just speed past them, like you just speed by them again. Really, really weird. And again, we're talking about 5% win rate and like 10% win rate, but this is technically the best character at the moment in my on Top Gun. The one that makes a little bit more sense is Smart Falcon, and mainly because Sparkly Stardom has basically one frame in which she is able to proc this if anyone is close to her. If they are, you proc this, you shoot forward a lot in the mid race, and basically you win the angling and scheming battle if there are any other front runners. That's kind of her way. MO is that she is going to win that angling and scheming against all the other front runners, because by the time Sparkly Stardom wears off, you're on the final corner. Also has sprint positioning, leader's pride, front runner savvy, and of course that 20% speed, 10% power bonus. Do note she is Turf E, so you do need some Turf sparks, but she is kind of in prime position to hit that Turf S and Sprint S at the same time. Silent Suzuka is possibly the pick that is the easiest to build because she has unrestrained in kit, so your MO is rather easy to understand. You have 20% speed to help you, but basically you grab all the skills in the kit like concentration and unrestrained, you put all the front runner stuff on her, and everything is in your kit. You can run her runaway, of course, you will win less, but you will block out the other front runners. If you run her normal without runaway, you are hoping that you hit angling and scheming and the unrestrained for that 0.6, and then you supplement with late race to try to go and take that victory. Mahono Bourbon is just Valentine Bourbon. She has everything you need in kit, does not have taking the lead, but Operation Cacao plus concentration kind of goes and supplements that. Kind of the same thing as Smart Falcon. Operation Cacao, when you're in the front of the pack, on that once the corner hits, you will hit that. You will be extending all the way to that final corner, which you are very difficult to pass, and at that point, you just go and try to win the game from there. You have Escape Artist in kit, which means you now have Escape Artist and Top Runner, and possibly even in High Spirits, if you have those cards. You have a ton of mid-race in kit. It's possibly the best chance that you have. OG Bourbon has much less in kit, but does have taking the lead. Go First Forever is partially eaten by the Excel Zone. You have to hit a significant amount of acceleration. I would suggest trying to get understrained on this to hit that 0.6. Otherwise, Go First Forever is going to get significantly eaten by the acceleration zone, because that straight is quite close to that corner still, and if you don't hit all the Excel, you're probably losing anyways, to be honest. I do want to talk about a free-to-play character for you front runner players. Technically, Sakura Bakshino is probably better as a pace chaser, honestly. The ultimate is block side continue time. It requires other front runners to even be able to proc. It can technically be a late race boost of speed. If you are solo fronting, it's perfectly fine. The only thing this character really has going for it in the front runner position is staggering lead. If you are in solo front runner, I didn't talk about huge lead, but the huge lead problem is that it picks a random point, and if you are not significantly far forward, at least a length or more, in first place, then it just goes and doesn't proc at all. So staggering lead is there for the solo front opportunities where hopefully you are significantly in front of the pace chasers and you can go and push your lead forward. That's her only advantage over the pace chaser position. However, because she has a gamble in kit in turbo sprint, you can kind of run her where you like. But in the front runner position, that's basically your MO. You grab turbo sprint instead of unrestrained, and then you just put on more mid-race and late race as you can from that point. Put all the front runner stuff on it, she's fine. Barzensky Summer Kiss for Courage is still really broken. you can't run the Mars card, which is really tough. It doesn't give much in kit, but it does have 15% speed, 15% wit bonus. It's kind of tough that you need a recovery, but you should be trying to get Mihona Bourbon Valentine Ultimate on it as well. Otherwise, those are the characters that I'm going to suggest. The rest of them, I know there's a couple that can be run in the front runner position, and you can feel free to do so. But if they're natural pace chasers, you probably should be running them in the pace chaser position. If you want, you can build a pace chaser like a front runner, kind of, and then hope to get lucky pace, and it kind of has similar effect. But that is the characters that I think that I can suggest at this point. There's not that many. The rest of them, yes, they can work as front runners, but just try them in pace chaser first and see if you like them. So here's your checklist as per usual. The stat bonuses are on your screen with 13, 12, and 11 for speed, power, wit. Possibly you can go up to 1200 or 1300 even if you can, because wit is very good on front runners. Otherwise, try to get angling and scheming and supplement it with some level of gamble, because you will need the gamble in order to win, whether that be final push, unrestrained, turbo sprint, sprinting gear, or corner connoisseur. Whatever you can, you do need a little more than that 0.2. Otherwise, grab your groundwork 3 greens and taking the lead, and at that point, try to grab a little bit of mid race and a lot of late race as well. Both of those are incredibly important. Sprint S is still better than Turf S. It still just is, but both of them are useful, whatever one the game decides to give you at that point. Try to get more wit, try to get more speed and power, try to get more mid race and late race, and then go from there. Like I said, frontrunners are not dominating this time. You are gambling like the rest of the roles, and yes, it is very difficult to do so, but do note that they still can win. And so good luck to you if you do decide to build them. This has been all 4 guides. We've done all the role guides. We've done the overview. We did the redux of them, and frankly, it's been rather tiring. So this is now the off season. For a lot of you, this is new to you, but I try to do a couple of fun videos. Sometimes I miss days when I'm in the off season. We're going to be going and exploring some things because we have parent building. We have the grand live release, or our grand concert, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of topics for me to talk about still. Do expect the Procrastinator's Guide in a couple of days and my team reveal. I will probably be streaming a little bit, building my aces, trying to get them, but I hope you have enjoyed them. Whatever you have found useful, whatever role guide that you are running, I hope you enjoyed it and it was good value to you for your time. So I appreciate you all for watching. The only thing left is to thank once again to our members. For those in the Borb tier, I do try to read out your names. Thank you especially to Kikuzi IRL Immobility, Mr. Merritt, Crest of Gautier, Lucifel, Ogre Cat Pizza Burger, Peter Van Sant, Oscar Van Bruce, Misha Sage, CD Ogren, Sorcerer, Elise Bright, Trevor Overtone, Dalgante, Etap Pete, Astrosarian, Eva Delta, Tokai Tail Monarch, Scraps, It's Billa Knox, Curlicious, Galzaber, Aoi Tori, Boss Corgi, Zinni TF, Dark Wabbits, Brandy Boffin, Tony Lim, Dialectical, Sleepy Bat, and Polvi. Thank you all. It has been a journey with the whole Unity Cup 2.0 situation, and I hope that I've made it a little bit easier. That's kind of been the goal of this. So good luck building your Champions Meeting Aces. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully I'll be able to hit a sprint parent so I'm able to actually start building mine. Take care, everyone. Burb out.